Hello and welcome back to the Dugout podcast. This is episode number 54. Today I'm joined by Ethan Barlow and we're going to be discussing a fair few things, the Women's Euros, Premier Sports Cup draw, but mainly today is our season predictions. We're going to be predicting both cup winners, a full league table, and other categories such as goal scorers, assists, and some ones we've come up with ourselves. But first of all, Ethan, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, good. I think I always say this, but excited. The season is upon us now. Competitive European matches in place. The Premier Sports Cup group stage is done. The draw for the knockout rounds, and we're days away from the league season now. So a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, definitely. It's no disrespect to the Premier Sports Cup group stages, but the real football is sort of upon us. The real bread and butter, the domestic league action, and I'm really looking forward to it personally. I think we'll start off though talking about the Lionesses, back to back women's Euros, winning on penalties. We all thought Spain would take it. I think we've mentioned it a few times. England, they just seem to this whole tournament have had an element about them where they'll just get through it no matter what, and they did it again.
Yeah, a lot like the men, especially in the last Euros just there. I don't think England were great in that competition either. And not to take anything away from the Lionesses because it's a remarkable achievement back to back European Championships against the world champions as well, Spain. As we said, we thought they were going to do it, but no, they were the better side on penalties to find margins. And yeah, I think probably I know she didn't start many of the games, if any, but Chloe Kelly was the difference in a lot of the moments. You have to say,
Yeah, her and Michelle Aguiman, I think I've got that right.
yeah,
Were sort of the big
yeah,
players. She won Young Player of the Tournament. That was a nice moment for her, and you could see all our teammates were so happy for her as well as she went up to get the award. Another interesting thing, Chloe Kelly's penalty was registered, I think, at 110 kilometers an hour, and that's faster than any shot in the Premier League last season, the English Premier League. That's mental, isn't it?
yeah. Any goal. I think it was in the
Yeah,
Premier
any
League, and
goal, sorry, any
people were
goal.
saying, yeah, and people were saying because it was Alexander Isak's brilliant strike against Liverpool, and people were saying, well, obviously a penalty is going to be faster than a shot from outside the box, but that was the fastest shot,
Yeah,
Isak. So
it includes pen.
yeah, I think so that was a bit of a stupid comment to make, but that was probably the best penalty of them all. A lot better than a penalty the other night, which is obviously saved against Italy, but she followed in with a rebound, and yeah, some of our crosses were brilliant. So yeah, England. Unfortunately for us Scots, you've got to take the hat off to them because they done it and it wasn't pretty, but that doesn't matter in any football. It's about winning, and they've done that. So you've got to say congratulations.
Yeah, the ladies, doing it for the pride of their nation, doing what the men can't, and have failed to do for however many golden generations they've been through. Uh, the ladies have done it twice back to back, so fair play to them. Now, moving on, I think to the Premier Sports Cup. Obviously, the group stages have come to an end. The draw has been made for the first round. Round two, as they call it, but it's the first round of knockout matches, and they're all pretty standard, I'd say, except from St Mirren versus Hearts, and that's a blockbuster match for sort of the opening knockout games. Stephen Robinson and St Mirren obviously coming off the back of their second consecutive top six finish. They have a bit of a
But I
Jamaican.
think,
Eh?
I think it was their third top six
Oh,
finish. I think it was their third top six finish.
excuse me, third consecutive top six finish. Um, they have signed really well. A bit of a Jamaican revolution happening at St Mirren. So a lot of interesting players coming through the door, and they go up against another team who've got a lot of interesting players to the door, and also a new manager with Derek McInnes. Although I've seen some reaction from Hearts supporters, and they are not looking forward to this draw going to Paisley. With this sort of new squad and new manager.
Yeah, it was not an ideal game for either side. I believe it's sixth against seventh from last season, possibly. So yeah, it's pretty close, and you've got to say Hearts have obviously improved over the window. They look really sharp. 4 wins from four. I know it's the Premier Sports Cup, but it's still a good start. St Mirren do get through top of their group. Obviously, they beat Ayr United to confirm that, and they've made a lot of signings as you've said, and I think a lot of people back Stephen Robinson to have them in there in top six again because they always seem to do it. And a lot of people, obviously, with the Tony Bloom investment, are back in Hearts to have a lot better season than they did last campaign without the distractions of European football as well. So, yeah, that's definitely a tie that none of the fans will look forward to. It's one that you don't want because there's obviously some Championship and even League One clubs in there. I think the major shock of the group stages was Allo Athletic, a brilliant story from them, 4 wins from four, especially when you've got Championship and Premiership opposition in your group. And they're rewarded with a trip to Ibrox, which I know they'll be massive underdogs, but we've seen in the Cup last season. I know it was Championship opponents at Ibrox, but anything can happen. Aberdeen against Darvel, stranger things have happened, and you just never know. But no, a great day out for them, and that's what they deserve. The other shock you would say is maybe Dundee. I think they were the only Premiership club to miss out on the last 16, and they got off to a terrible start, but seem to be turning it around a little bit now. But I think their squad is still quite a bit off the mark under Stephen Presley.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So that's kind of it for the Premier Sports Cup. And now we get to move into the good stuff, our Premiership predictions. I think we'll go from bottom to top. And Laurie isn't here today, obviously, as you can see, but he has sent in his list. So I will I'll let you guys know what he's said, as well as what we are saying on the show today. So, um, Ethan, we'll start with 12th. Who have you got?
I've got. I just mentioned them there. I think the manager appointment was strange, but I do think he's got a very light squad around him, and they lost so many key players to becoming free agents in the summer there, and I just think Dundee are in a real bad spot at the moment, so I can see them finishing bottom. If they get a few more players in, then maybe, but I just think their squad's too light of quality at the moment, so I've got Dundee rock bottom.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I feel like they're really weak. They've lost some of their strongest players from last season. Um, as well as losing Josh Mulligan and Lyle Cameron, they've lost the likes of Adewumi, who was really impactful in moments last season. I feel like Simon Murray's just been left there himself to sort of do what he can. I'm surprised actually. I don't know what his contract's like, but I'm surprised that maybe top half clubs haven't really been sniffing around him. He's not afraid to move about, Simon Murray, so I'm sure if the right offer came to him, he would go somewhere. But yeah, I've got Dundee down in 12th as well, and so does Laurie. And the reason he's put is just blame Elvis. So yeah, not a ragged
I
endorsement of
just
Stephen Elvis Presley there.
Yeah, and I'll just touch on the players that left. Other contracts were finished. One of either two from last season. Seb Palmer Holden, Adewumi, Lakesh, Portales, Lyle Cameron, obviously, Mo Silla, Joe Shaughnessy, Scott Tiffany, Jordan McGee, and Josh Mulligan.
Yeah,
That's almost a starting 11 of
that's a
really apparent players in that squad that have moved on. And
and sorry, they've signed a
what
lot.
did you say? Sorry.
I'm just saying that's a decimated squad, and they've signed a lot of maybe older,
Yeah,
sort of out the way players or younger players on loans and stuff like that who've yet to maybe prove themselves. I think they've got a couple from Brentford, obviously with Stephen Presley's connections there. Um, so yeah, and as you said, they really didn't start well. They turned it around slightly towards the end, but they should have won. I think every single game.
yeah, definitely. Shouldn't be losing to any league, any team in any league below them, and that's what they did do. Obviously, they finished with two wins to at least get a little bit of pressure off Presley's back. But if you're a Premiership club going into those groups, then you're expected to make the last 16 as a bare minimum, as every other club has done, unless I'm making an error. But I think every other club did make it out of the groups, apart from Dundee. So I think that is a clear justification as to why at the moment all three of us have them rock bottom.
Yeah, definitely. Just one thing I forgot to mention in the intro there as well. You may be wondering why we're not talking about the European results. Obviously, it was a good week for Scots in Europe last week. Tomorrow, there should be a video of me and Ethan sort of giving our European predictions for other teams, including Celtic and Aberdeen. And, speaking about the results last week before, obviously, Rangers kick off their second leg on Wednesday. All right, moving on to 11th place. I feel like our tables are going to be quite similar here. Although they've made a lot of signings, um, I have gone with David Martindale's Livingston to be in a playoff, but on the other side of it this time. They've announced a few signings over the weekend. They got Adam Montgomery and on loan from Celtic. They signed Aidan Denham on a permanent deal from Hearts. I feel like that's quite a good one. Um, and they've just announced the signing of Jeremy Bokala from Willemsvee in the Eredivisie. So a decent signing there as well. However, I just don't think they'll have enough to, you know, be completely safe this season.
Yeah, I agree. And I think David Martindale will be the first one to tell you, and people often mock him for this, but the financial gulf between Livingston and the rest of the league is apparent. It is there. And it's credit to David Martindale that he's even got Livingston back up to the Premiership, and I think they've made the most signings in the league, 14, I believe. So as a lot, they haven't lost much either, which is one of the positives. Of course, Jamie Brandon, their captain, goes to Kilmarnock. He'll be a big miss, but they've signed well. They've got a decent squad there, but I just think it'll be too much for them to completely avoid any relegation trouble, and maybe they'll pull through the playoff. But I just think they're worse and weaker than all the other teams in the league at the moment.
Yeah. Laurie's also put Livingston, and he agrees with you. He's just put budget, budget, budget. For his reasoning for Livingston to be down in 11th. So yeah, it's a shame because I don't know. I feel like I'm quite conflicted about Livingston because I hate their playing surface, but I like what they're about. I like David Martindale and I like sort of the feeling around the club. Just unfortunately, like you said, I don't think they'll have enough. So in 10th, I I have the next newly promoted side. I have Falkirk. Um, I feel like a lot of people got carried away when they originally got promoted, and early people talking about, oh, could they make a dark horse top six push? The recruitment's been woeful, absolutely woeful. I might even be being slightly generous to Falkirk here, um, and slightly now that I'm thinking about it, I might be being generous to them and being harsh on Livingston. The recruitment's been really poor. And you've got to remember as well, they were running away with the league. They nearly bottled it. Um, they went on that poor run. If they do that in the Scottish Premiership, they'll be in trouble because I doubt they'll go on a ridiculous winning run. Um, so for that reason, I've got John McGlynn's side down in 10th. I just feel like who have they really signed? What they've brought in?
I've got the list in front of me. So Henry Cartwright from Leicester City under 21s on loan, Lewis Nielsen on loan from Hearts, obviously, Scott Bain from
Yeah.
Celtic, and then obviously the marquee signing Brian Graham from Partick Thistle, and that's it
A
so far.
championship level striker, right? A decent goalkeeper in Scott Bain.
Possibly more Premiership.
Well, he's not done anything to prove it over the past few years. He's just been
Yeah, yeah.
killer in the championship. So I guess we'll need to see. So a decent goalkeeper in Scott Bain. I actually rate Scott Bain. I think that's a decent signing there. And two kids.
Yeah, well, Lewis Nielsen has got a bit of Premiership experience, but yeah, you definitely want more. And this video has been pretty easy so far because, unlike maybe comments I've made in the past about Falkirk, I've got them in 10th as well. I think the dark horse opinion that a lot of people floated, the idea that a lot of people floated, has been brought down by the recruitment. Four signings for a newly promoted team isn't too convincing. Um, Especially when you look at Livingston, they brought in 14 and they finished the season better than Falkirk did. So, yeah,
Definitely. Laurie disagrees. He has Motherwell down in 10th. He said there's been too much inconsistency over the last few years for Motherwell. That's the only line he's put for them. So I would probably agree with that. In terms of their sort of signings and chopping changing managers, they've got a new manager in. They've got a lot of new signings. It'll be interesting to see. Maswanisi looks like he's enjoying life this season. He scored a peach against the Greenock Morton, or I think it was. Um,
yeah, that sounds right.
excuse me. And but yeah, Laurie's got Motherwell down in 10th. Uh, I I don't disagree too much because I actually have Motherwell in ninth. I just think it's for similar reasons, but I think as well the teams that I'm putting above them, I just think are better, and I've recruited a bit better. I mean, I think it's from here up to around sixth, fifth. I think it's quite tight for me personally. I don't think there'll be a lot between these teams. Um, but yeah, I've got Motherwell down in ninth because I just think to me, they're the weakest out of that pack.
Yeah, I understand why you and Laurie have got them down there. I've not got them yet. I've got Kilmarnock in ninth, and I think they've done decent business so far. They look decent in the Premier Sports Cup. They obviously had that disappointing loss to Kelty Hearts on penalties, but they beat the other Premiership club in their group, Livingston. I know it wasn't a pretty game. There wasn't much in it at all.
It wasn't.
But I think Kilmarnock,
Wasn't a classical El Plastico, was it?
no, that definitely wasn't. And that's obviously the opening game of not just both club seasons, but the Premiership season, that 3 o'clock kick-off on Saturday.
The Celtic
But no, I just think,
Sunday.
what,
The Celtic play on the Sunday.
what is it?
Do Celtic play on the Sunday?
Yeah, Celtic are on the Sunday.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, they do. Yeah, so that is the opening fixture. And yeah, I just don't think. I think their signings have been decent, but there is a club that needs to finish bottom of that sort of middle pack, and I think it'll be Kilmarnock. I think there won't be any relegation trouble under Stuart Kettlewell, but I just think they'll finish the bottom of that sort of mid-table pack, you could say.
Okay. Laurie has Dundee United down in ninth. He says he's just got a gut feeling that they'll struggle. I mean, that's fair enough. I don't have them down in ninth, but I I'll a wee peek into the future here. I don't think they'll be top six again. Um, I think they'll struggle. They will struggle with sort of the added pressure of European fixtures, especially if they qualify, which they could potentially do. You know, it's I think we learned from Hearts last season that there isn't a massive gap. No, there's not a gap. I'd say the Conference League is a lot of Scottish teams kind of level, except if they're playing Chelsea or whatever. You know what I mean? Um, so I feel like they could maybe qualify, and that could hinder them. So I understand that. Moving on to eighth, I have Kilmarnock for similar reasons to you. I just don't think they'll fare. I think Motherwell will fare worse than them this season. I think it'll be tight though. It's really hard to separate it. Um, and yeah, I don't think they'll be making a good top six push. They will be there or thereabouts, but yeah, I've kind of got them down there in eighth.
In eighth, I've got Dundee United.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think there will be a slight fall off from last season, and yeah, I think you can only expect that with the amount of player turnover again. They had a lot of loan players last season that they've not been able to keep a hold of. They've brought in a full new 11 of players from across Europe and across the world. And it's just one that it worked last season, but it can't work every season, I don't think. And I don't think it'll be terribly work so terribly to the point they're in relegation trouble. But I just think top six will be a bit too much, and I think they'll find themselves just mid-table in eighth.
Okay. In eighth, Laurie has Falkirk, and he just put a decent first season back for the Bairns. So yeah, um, we'll do seventh, and then we'll take a quick break, and we'll come back for the top six. So in seventh, I'll start on Laurie. Laurie's one again. He has his side Kilmarnock. He says Stuart Kettlewell misses out on top six, but that's okay. Oh, being nice to his manager there. But yeah, that's where Laurie has Kilmarnock. I have Dundee United in seventh, just missing out on top six, and that's okay. Um, but yeah, there are a lot of similar reasons. I think it'll be a bit tighter than maybe you and Laurie were suggesting. I think it'll be difficult for them to gel this season, and like I said earlier, if they make it into European competition, they will struggle.
Yeah, I have Motherwell in seventh, so I think between the three of us, most of the seventh, eighth, and ninth positions are taken up by Motherwell, Dundee United, and Kilmarnock, and I think it is tough to call between them. I like a lot of the players Motherwell have got at the moment. They've obviously still got Lennon Miller, and the transfer rumours have dried up a little bit. If he goes, then you've got a lot of money there to inject into that squad. If not, then you've got a great player on your hands for probably another season. And then I really like
I,
Tawanda Maswinise.
sorry, I saw a report saying that Askew was thinking about playing him on Saturday because no one's come in officially for him.
Yeah, yeah, and the only problem that Motherwell have is that his contract obviously is up next season, so then they would get nothing for him. But if they can get him to sign a contract extension, and maybe he won't do that, there's been talk of him doing it to help the club, obviously get a good fee for them. But I really like Tawanda Maswinise. I think he started last season really well, but couldn't really carry it into the second half. Motherwell had a lot of problems with injuries last season. And another one, Apostolos Stamatolopoulos. I think, yeah, I think he'll have a big season this season. I know there was just a bid for him there, but yeah, I think he could also have a big season up front. So yeah, I really like it at the moment. I think they'll just miss out in top six, but I think they have a good squad.
Yeah. See Stamatopoulos, he was on one of the news days for the TikTok, and I think I had like 10 takes trying to say his name properly. I kept messing it up. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's it for our bottom six. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be back with our top six predictions. All right, so now moving on to the top six. Ethan, I'll let you go first on this one. Who have you got in sixth place?
I've got the sixth place. I'm not going to call them sixth place merchants because they got fifth, I think, or the season before last. But St Mirren top six merchants. Stephen Robinson's got a remarkable record of getting them in there, and I think they'll do it again. They've brought in a lot of players. They've kept a lot of the players from last season. I know they've lost a few. Obviously, they got a good fee for Olisanya right before his contract was up. Caleb Boyd Munce, I know has went as well. But Phillips looks even better so far this season than he was last season, and I think he was probably one of the most underrated performers across the league. So yeah, I think St Mirren are in a really good position. I think the sort of big five, as you would call them, will just have too much for them, but I still think they'll be in that top six.
I tend to agree, and so does Laurie with his line for this one, sneaking into the top six. I agree. I think I said it about them when I thought they would make it into the top six last season. They've just got something about them. They've just got that grit about them. They've got a really good manager, and although they maybe don't have the standout sort of stars, I guess you would call them, like the other sides maybe would have, I just feel like they're a really good squad. They've recruited really well. I'm excited to see what their new players can do. Jalmero Calvin looks like a decent player. Obviously they've got a penalty taking centre back now. Um, and Richard King Richard, as our good friend Ryan Niven calls him. Also go check out the latest episode of Pitch and Patter. It came out today, Monday, as this is being recorded and uploaded. Me and Ethan were on there, showing off our quiz knowledge on
Oh,
last.
lack of.
No spoilers. But yeah, our incredible quiz knowledge, and our cheating abilities. Uh, so yeah, so go check that out. I'm totally gone. I've been taken right back to that. I'm enraged once again. Go yes, if you want the backstory to that, go listen to that. But anyway, um, so moving on to fifth place, I have Derek McInnes and the Jambos. I think they've recruited well. I think they've got a good manager. However, I think it'll take them time. Maybe they won't start so well. They'll finish off strong, get into that fifth place position.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I have got Derek McInnes's old club, Aberdeen, in fifth. I think out of the three chasing pack, Aberdeen, Hearts, and Hibs, Aberdeen are the ones who are guaranteed. Aberdeen are the ones who are guaranteed European league phase football. Whether that be in the Conference League or the Europa League, more likely the Conference League. I've seen some of the teams they could play, and they're probably a cut above Aberdeen, and that's not disrespect to Aberdeen. I think they've signed well under Jimmy Tilleen, but as we know, it's difficult for the sides to balance the two. And yeah, I think they'll have to take a little bit of a step back in the league, the same as they did last season. And I think if they have a successful season on a European front and compete in the cups again, obviously they won the cup and they don't expect to do that every season. But if they have a good season in the cups, good season in Europe, then I think the fifth place will be excused for Jimmy Tilling like it was the season just gone.
Yeah, Laurie has Hibs in fifth, and he's just put a solid if an unspectacular season in Leith. So he's not really backing Hibs to do as well as well. I've got them doing pretty well. fantastic even. I think you might be surprised where I've got Hibs actually, and where I've got Celtic. But anyway, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I know you are. I know you are.
But yeah, so three different answers there. Although I think for me personally, these three teams are very will be very tightly contested, and I will say I wouldn't be surprised if it is in any order
Yeah.
towards the end of the season. So moving on to fourth. So who did I have in fifth? I had Hearts. I've got Aberdeen in fourth. Um, I think they have signed very well, like you said, under Jimmy Tulline. I think they will, because I think for the reason that they've had a year under him, and he's getting more chances to sort of implement his style and his players. I think that's the reason he'll pip Derek McInnes to the fourth place spot. I think they've made some fantastic signings. I spoke to Glenn from Red Tinted Glasses about it in our Aberdeen preview, so go check that out. He's very happy with the season. He is a wee bit concerned about European competition. He thinks they still need to make some additions. However, I think they will make those additions that are needed, and I think they will have a decent season under Jimmy Tilley and get that fourth place spot.
Yeah, fair enough. And fourth, I've got Hibs.
Wow.
I think they have a really good. I think it's a little bit of a surprise one because I think on the face of it, you would say that they're the third best
Sorry,
team in the country. They obviously were that last.
can I just jump in quickly? I said I wouldn't be surprised if these three
Yeah,
finished in any order. I would be surprised if Hearts finished third, and it seems, yeah. Well, I'll just say Laurie's got Aberdeen in fourth, so you and Laurie are backing Derek McInnes to finish third.
yeah. Well, I'll just touch on both the teams at the same time, saying as I know they don't like to come as a pair, but they often do, the two Edinburgh clubs. I think Hibs have the third best squad in the league, although I do have an incline that after last week's result in Denmark, they might push past Midtjylland at Easter Road. There's easier challenges to come in that competition, and if they get through past Midtjylland and then past the team they play in the next round, which is escaping me. I believe it's a Norwegian team. It's a step down from Midtjylland anyway, or on paper it is. If they get through those two ties, then they're guaranteed European football, and for the same reasons, I put Aberdeen down a little bit. I have put Hibs down a little bit, and I hope that the Scottish teams that are in Europe adapt and really compete on both a domestic front and the European front, because obviously that's the best for Scottish football. But I just think Hearts have got such an advantage that they don't need to worry about European football at all.
Yeah,
They've signed really well, and Derek McInnes is obviously a great and well proven manager across multiple clubs in the league.
yeah. Laurie's sort of put down those reasons. No European football is a bonus. They can focus on domestic, and they've signed well, so that's why he's got Hearts in third. I have Hibs in third because I think, for the reason you said, they do have the third best squad in the Premiership. I just think they'll have too much. I think they're I think on squads as a whole, um, you could maybe say they're similar to Hearts and Aberdeen. I think their sort of attack just blows the others out the water, um, and and I think they will be able to deal with this European pressure. Maybe I'm just high on their finish from the season, but I think there's still more to come from them in the transfer window. They've shown real ambition. They've broken their transfer record, bringing in Thibaut Clige. I'll just say that. Hopefully that's right. Um, and you know, I just think it will be a really good season for Hibs. And although I'm not, I don't think I'm going to predict them for one of them. I think a cup is a possibility for them as well. So yeah, um, I think it'll be a really fantastic season for Abs. So
Yeah, just to touch on your point, sorry, before we move on to first and second, that I can't really argue with it. I think it is going to be so tight in there, and I really, from a neutral point of view, I really want Hibs to prove me wrong and show the sort of pathway that you can compete and be have a really successful league season as well as going and doing it on a European stage, because that's something that the Scottish clubs outside of Celtic and Rangers, as we always bat on about, have struggled.
do you think we're putting too much onus on that, on too much emphasis on that point? Um, just because
I, I don't think so.
there is evidence of it, but do you think we're focusing on it too much? Maybe bringing down the rest of
Possibly,
the division a little bit.
possibly, yeah, possibly. But I mean, Hearts have won. I know it's the Premier Sports Cup, but they're off to a really good start. 4 wins from four. They've only conceded one goal, so that's a really good start. And all the signings, the talk coming out of Hearts is that all the signings are really good. They fit in really well. That they look like players that can add to that squad. So, yeah, obviously Hibs are probably the favourites for third, but I just have a weird incline that they're going to make it to group stage football, and hopefully they do, for Scotland's coefficient, or not group stage, sorry, league phase football for Scotland's coefficient as a whole. And I think,
I've found
as a
myself
byproduct of that, they'll
quite a
suffer
lot.
a little bit in the league.
I've found myself seeing group stage quite a lot. I think I said it hundreds of times during the Aberdeen
Yeah.
pre, and then I corrected myself later on in the episode. But yeah, no, but as a well, we'll speak about it more in depth. But I think it's definitely a positive start for Scottish clubs in Europe, and hopefully, I don't think it'll happen, but I think they're looking at the pathways for all five clubs. There maybe is a chance we might see five Scottish clubs in league phase football this season. I think there is a chance, and that would be fantastic. And I wonder when the last time that happened, where we had five Scottish teams in European like main competition. Maybe that's something to talk about tomorrow. But okay, moving on to the first and second. Um, I think we know what we're both going to say here. Uh, Laurie has. I'll start with Laurie because
Well, maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe I'll surprise you.
I don't think you are going to surprise me. But Laurie, Laurie, we'll start with Laurie because he's kind of the neutral party in this case. He's got Rangers in second. He says Russell Martin's Bears won't constantly be a roaring success, albeit some of the signings look interesting. And he's put Celtic just too strong. Um, so that's fair enough, I'd say. I disagree. I think Rangers will take the league this season, and although I'm not under any illusions. I don't think it will be. It's obviously a season of transition, but I feel like I've been sort of, um, spurred on a little bit in my hopes that the fact just looking at recruitment this summer so far, obviously there's still a long way to go, Ethan, but Rangers have been really active. Obviously, it's every signing is not going to work out and be fantastic, but they're still going. They're, Oliver Antman looks like he's going to be coming in. Mikey Moore on loan from Tottenham Hotspur as well. They've been really active in their sort of business, and it looks like they're still looking to bring in more players. Whereas to me, Celtic have struggled. Some of their signings look decent. I think Yamada's a decent signing. Nigren, we haven't really seen any, or Nigren. I don't know how you would say it. I think Nigren sounds better, so I'll go with that. I don't really know how he's going to work out. Another interesting, fairly decent signing, but over the past few weeks, all the sort of rumours that I've been reading are Celtic trying to lowball clubs the club's going no, and nothing's really happening. Like with Jakob Broom, for instance, another go-ahead Eagles player along with Oliver Antman. Um, I think they value him at 5.2. Celtic came in initially with 1.5, went up to 1.75, and then their most recent offer has been 3 million, which was also rejected. Um, and I think those, for me, has given me more confidence and why I think Rangers will win the league this season.
Yeah, and I think you're completely in your right to say that. If the transfer window was to shut tonight, as we're recording this, I would have Rangers as slight favourites. I still think Celtic squad has the potential to become stronger. They've still got a lot of positions they need to sign, but they haven't signed. That's the worrying thing for Celtic fans. They're expecting players to come in before they obviously have those massive Champions League qualifiers, which they'll still be favourites for, no doubt, even with um, not a lot of players being signed that are really affecting the first team. Benjamin Nygren or Nygren looks like a really good signing, and he already seems to have displaced Arne Engels in the starting 11 and the midfield position. Although a lot of people thought he was being signed as a sort of Nicholas Kuhn replacement, and a lot of Celtic fans are making the squad out to look a lot weaker than last season. I don't think it is, but when you've got three wingers currently available with Dyson Maeda, James Forrest, and Yang, then that's a cause for concern starting the season when either Yang or James Forrest is going to have to start flag day. And they're not the worst footballers, don't get me wrong, but you would expect when Celtic went toe to toe for 180 minutes with Bayern Munich, you would want to build on that surely in the transfer window and try and progress on not just the domestic stage but a European stage. But they haven't done that. Rangers have signed really well. Rangers obviously had to sign because they need to support Russell Martin. They need to close the gap. But I do still think Celtic will sign players. I don't think it's going to be. They're going to end the window with three wingers and the other areas that they need to sign, and I think they will
Do you,
sign players,
do you still
and
want a
I think
striker?
they will just come out on top. And I think it'll be very tight this season.
Do you
What
still
is it?
you still want a striker, another striker? Are you happy with Adam Ida and Shin Yamada?
Possibly. Possibly. I think Shin Yamada came on the other day against Al Ali, I think it is, the Saudi team that Celtic played and won on penalties against in the Como Cup. But apparently he looked, I didn't get to watch the match, but apparently he looked pretty good. Adam Ida, obviously not convinced. Callum Osman's come in, kind of not really done much. Some people are even thinking that Johnny Kenny's the first choice striker. So Celtic could possibly want another striker, but at the same time, when you've already got four, you've got Dyson Maeda who can play there as well. I don't think there's a place for another striker. I think you're looking at another winger. Obviously, Jota's still to come back, but that's you're not looking until the turn of the year for that. So I think Celtic need to get a winger in, especially, and the low ball offers are strange, really strange. And it's almost like last season Celtic slightly overpaid. I would say for at least Adam Ida, they definitely overpaid him for Norwich City, and now they're going to try and underpay. I really don't know what's going on. It's strange, and it for the fans, it has a lot of reminiscent back to that COVID year where Celtic sort of took the easy options, and obviously they paid the price when Rangers ended their streak of nine titles in a row. And a lot of Celtic fans are seeing the resemblance this season. But I think Celtic will. I think Celtic will qualify for the Champions League. I think they should have enough, and then the money will be spent. But yeah, I think you've got to speculate to accumulate rather than penny pinch and put £40 million at risk because that's what they're doing at the moment, and it's crazy. But yeah, I think if you had to give me my prediction, I think Celtic will still win the league, and I think it will be very tight between the two clubs. But if the window was to shut at the end of this week, then I would be leaning more towards Rangers at the moment.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's definitely interesting. Um, so those are our league table predictions for the 2025-2026 Scottish Premiership season. We will run through who we think will win the cups, and then we'll get on to the fun stuff like top goal scorer, most assists, and a couple of our own categories. So, for the League Cup, right, just to not look like a moron, a biased moron, I'm going to go with Celtic to win the League Cup. Um, I think they'll start the season stronger than Rangers. Obviously, the League Cup finals in December, first half of the season, and I think they will win it. Whether it's against Rangers or not, I don't know. But yeah, I think Celtic will take the League Cup this season.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't expect you to say that. My League Cup, Premier Sports Cup winner is going to surprise you even more. I don't think it'll be a team from Glasgow, and some of you might think I've turned into a jam tart with this
Oh
answer,
my
but
God.
I think Hearts will win the League Cup. I think Celtic and
It's the
Rangers.
cat in the post.
What?
The cat in the post.
No, not that kit. If the viewers seen my ranking of their home kit, pretty low. But I think clubs are going to struggle with Europe in the early parts of the season, and I think Rangers will struggle with the natural teething problems of a new manager and a lot of new players, and I think Celtic will struggle if they even bring in players. You've still got to get them into the squad and get them up to speed and develop into the way Brendan Rodgers wants to play. So I think Celtic and Rangers will have, by their standards, relatively slow starts to the season, both of them, and I can see both of them. And by no means do I think Rangers or Celtic will lose both at home to Falkirk and Alloa. I'm not saying that, but I could see that maybe Hearts, Hibs, or Aberdeen catch them off guard, and I don't know why. I just have a sneaky suspicion about Hearts, and I don't know why.
All right, fair enough. For the Scottish Cup, I'm going back to my usual. I'm going to go with Rangers, based on the reasons that I've kind of aforementioned. I think they'll grow into the season, and I think by that point, hopefully Russell Martin will have implemented his style. They'll be top of the league. They'll have won the league, and they will win the Scottish Cup. So yeah, that's what I'm going with.
Fair enough. I'm going with Celtic to win the Scottish Cup. I think the same reasons you've just given. I think Celtic will. I already mentioned in my previous point. I think Celtic will start the season slow, but I think by the end they'll get the players they need in, and it might not be pretty, but I think they'll just take the league, and then maybe it'll be a Celtic Rangers Scottish Cup final again, and maybe Celtic will just take it. But yeah, I don't think there'll be any trebles for any team this season, and that's a good thing. That's a really good thing for Scottish football, and hopefully a non old firm team, Celtic or Rangers, can snatch one of the cups, because it was nice to see it wasn't Celtic or Rangers winning the cup when Aberdeen won it last season.
Well, yeah, maybe not for us personally, but as a as a whole for the game, I think if we're looking bigger picture,
Yeah,
we want to see the other teams, and maybe not have our league portrayed as a farmers league essentially to the rest of the world. So yeah, that's it for our predictions for the cups. Now we'll move on to top goal scorer. And right now, I'm not 100% sure. I've maybe got a couple of names, but I think my names are more of like underdog kind of shouts. I think I've not got, I've not got anyone that I think will define it. Maybe one guy, but I'm not sure he will replicate what he did last season. So yeah, I've got a few names that I maybe want to float, but Ethan, is there anyone that sticks out that's super obvious to you?
yeah. Well, I'm moving down the league, and Celtic, as we mentioned, none of the striking options are really flattering at the moment. Daisen Maeda, Obviously off the back of an unbelievable season, but it's very difficult to replicate what he done last season. I still think he'll have a very productive and successful
Yeah,
season
me
for
too.
Celtic, but
He
he
was the
didn't
name.
win
He was the
even the
name that
Golden Boot in that season there. So
he was the obvious name for me. But like you said, it's difficult to replicate that. So um, I think as well. Sorry to cut you off, but I think for reasons,
no, not at all.
for these sort of reasons, it is difficult to call. I think Hamza Agaman and Dessers' futures are still uncertain at Rangers. Um, Adamida, uh, it could be good, it could be bad. You never know. Shin Yamada still to prove himself, I think. So I think those for the big two, those candidates are why I've kind of got a few different names.
Yeah, definitely. And I was just about to touch on the Rangers sort of options. Dessers, Igaman, you don't know if they're going to be in Glasgow past the transfer window, so you wouldn't want to sort of hang your hat on them. And I don't know if there is anyone else at Rangers that is really jumping out to
Well,
me as a potential.
one of my shouts is a Rangers player. Um, so I think
All right, okay.
yeah, but
Moving down the league, and no, the two players that jump out to me at the minute, and probably can't predict any of them. Maybe based off my league table position and League Cup winners position, you can maybe guess who one of my candidates is.
one of my candidates
I
is
think
maybe the same guy. Oh no, wait, are you?
Lawrence Shankland.
I actually forgot about him. Uh, I was right. So, do you want me to tell you my three kind of for some reason? So
Yeah,
they're really left field. It's Danilo, Claudio Braga, and Cassini Yengi are my three contenders for the top scorers this season.
fair enough. They are interesting. They're more interesting than my two. I had Lawrence Shankland. I think Braga's. I forgot about him, but he's looked really sharp and looks like a
Nice.
good signing. But I just think Shankland on penalties. I think he got 3 or 4 goals already in the Premier Sports Cup. And I know that doesn't come into the SPFL Golden Boot race, but already shows that he's kind of more fit and firing than he was last season. So yeah, I think under Derek McInnes he'll have a chance. And I mentioned him earlier, Motherwell striker Apostolos Stamatolopoulos. If he can stay fit and he stays at Motherwell, I think he's an outside shout.
Okay, well, fair enough. I like that. I like that. Um, Maybe you could even throw Maswanisi in there if he stays consistent. So
Yeah,
that could be an interesting race to the Golden Boot this season. Now for the Golden Leg. Uh, that's the assist. That's terrible. It's most assists. Um, right. So I've got a maybe this is okay. I'm gonna give someone who hasn't actually landed in Scotland yet, and then I'm gonna give someone who is uh, in Scotland. So first of all, I think if he does sign for Rangers, I think it'll be Oliver Antman. 15 assists in the Eredivisie last season. I think the output speaks for itself. So if he does sign for Rangers, I'll go for Big Ant Man. If not, I'm going to go for another Rangers player. It's finished the season strong and actually finished top of the assist charts, and who looks like he'll be deployed in a more advanced role this season. Nico Raskan.
yeah, they're fair enough shouts, logical shouts. My one that I'm thinking of at the moment is Rio Hatate. I think he was obviously linked with a move away from Glasgow, but it looks like the sort of rumours have dried up, and it looks like he'll be staying. And I think on his day, he's one of the best players in the league, and I think he could top the assist charts if he stays injury free.
Okay, okay, right. So, moving on. to kind of our own kind of categories. What we're gonna do? We're gonna do most improved, sort of rookie of the year, but in the sense of it's their first season and they're a rookie to the Scottish Premiership. And do you want to do surprise player of the season or just surprise of the
Yeah,
season?
you could do that.
Um, so
Yeah, surprise of the season. Yeah.
okay, so we'll start. We'll start with most improved. I think there's a few names you maybe give a shout to. I'm gonna go right. I've got two. I'm gonna go with Killian Phillips of St Mirren. You mentioned him earlier. He's started strong, and I feel like it could be a real breakout season for him. And I'm gonna go for one that might surprise you. I think he had a hard time last season, a lot of pressure on him. I'm gonna go for Arne Engels to sort of rise and prove himself to the Celtic supporters. I don't know if he'll ever get 100% approval with that price tag on his head, but I feel like he's one that can sort of rise to the occasion this season.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I think with one of my other nominees, well, both of my nominees for Golden Boot would probably be most improved, but I'll try and pick another player, one that I've said multiple times, and his minutes might be restricted again because obviously Hibs have just brought in their record, have just brought in their record signing. So, but I really like Kieran Bowie as a player. I think he's got a lot to offer and he's got a lot of development at Easter Road.
Okay, right. So moving on to Rookie of the Year, Scottish Premiership. So I think it's tough for me not to go with one of the maybe top goal scorer candidates, or this seems like I'm really sort of biased, but based obviously it was only like 20 minutes, but I'm leaning towards Diego Gassama. I think he's gonna be sick. He just looks class. He just looks absolutely class.
I don't know.
I'm gonna go with the Diego Gassama Rookie of the Year. He'll probably get Young Player of the Year as well.
Okay, well I'm gonna go. I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna pick a player from Celtic. Then I'm gonna go with Benjamin Negrin. I think he's already, as I mentioned, he's sort of. It looks like he's displaced Arne Engels in that squad, and that's not to say Arne Engels doesn't have the quality to get back in there. But I think Negrin, one of the signings the summer, I would predict already, and I think he'll have a great season. So yeah.
Okay. And last but not least, surprise of the season. Um, phew, I think that Adamida will get 15 goals.
Is that a good surprise or a bad surprise?
What? I don't know. Good surprise.
Well, he got 20 last season, so
No, 15 in the league. 15 in the league goals.
15 in the league, right? Okay, okay, that's fair enough. You know what? I was thinking about this one. I'll go a striker-related one. Shin Yamada will score the most goals out of any Celtic and Rangers striker.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. So those were our predictions for the Scottish Premiership this season. Uh, it was a good one. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Make sure to go check out all our previews, the Dugout, all 12 teams. They've been coming out over the past week or so. They'll continue up to Friday when the last one will go out. Um, an interview with someone sort of representing every club, experts and fans alike, previewing that club's season. So yeah, they've been really good so far. I've been enjoying them. Ethan's been enjoying them, talking to these guys. So I'm sure you'll enjoy them as well. Make sure to check out our European video that will be coming out tomorrow. Check out the Twitter at the Dugout 2024. Ethan's been smashing it on there. I've been saying it every week, but it's true. He's been smashing it. and go check out the TikTok where I've been there delivering news every single day.
You've been smashing it on the TikTok.
All right, thank you very much. Make sure to like and subscribe, comment, let us know what you think. Thank you.